Hi, MedCircle viewers on YouTube. My name's Kyle. I'm the host here at MedCircle. In this video, we're going to talk about burnout, a phrase I'm sure you're familiar with. Burnout in this capacity. I'm sorry. I swear I turn off my text messages, but they still come through. Um, Burnout in this capacity, we're really talking about the workplace. And if you are unfamiliar with the specifics of burnout, we have a fabulous workshop that is led by Dr. Romney, our clinical psychologist. And she really dives into what causes burnout and perhaps more importantly, how to prevent burnout in the first place. And then, of course, we go through some treatment methods if you are already burned out. Because it is World Mental Health Month, we're offering this 90-minute workshop absolutely free. There's also no obligation. And if you click the links in the description of this video and get the Burnout Workshop, you will also get a little gift from me. This expires October 31st. So if you're watching this video after October 31st, you certainly can visit watch.medcircle.com to see our entire library of videos. And of course, you can sign up to become a member to watch this recorded workshop plus more. Or if you're watching this before, just get it for free. Now, I do want to say that these workshops, they're work, okay? There is an active piece to them. While you could just sit back and listen, they are designed to engage and be something very interactive for you. So I like saying that as a caveat because this really is for people who either feel like they're about to get burned out and want to keep that from happening, just want to prevent it overall, or you are burned out and you don't know what the next steps are to take. This is also a great workshop for employers, supervisors, or executives, because if your staff, if your employee base, if your team is not operating at their best potential and are experiencing symptoms of burnout, well, that's not good for your employee base and it's certainly not good for business. So there are lots of reasons to watch, learn, and apply the strategies and insight that Dr. Romney provides in this workshop. You, of course, can get that absolutely free between now and October 31st using the links below this video in the description. Now, when I had this conversation with Dr. Romney, there was one part that really stood out to me, and that was what type of workplace would actually support an employee not becoming burned out? Were there factors in the workplace that kept people from getting burned out? Because I have had jobs in my life that I love and I've worked so hard at them. But because I love them, I never felt burned out. I never felt like the work was stressing me out or, destroying me. I felt like the work was actually fulfilling me and filling me up with a lot of great energy. And she said that there were three things in a workplace that could indicate that burnout would happen less or perhaps not at all. The first one is that you actually like your work. Now, this is hard for a lot of people because I talk to more people who go, my job's okay, or yeah, my job's fine, than I do people who say, oh, I hate my job or I love my job. Most people that I talk to are down the middle. Where do you stand on this? I would love to see in the comment section. If you're I hate my job's a whatever, it's fine. And oh my gosh, my job is my favorite thing in my life. I would love to hear what those are. But if you like your work, that is helpful. Now, if you don't like your work, that doesn't mean, okay, well, just go quit and go find something you like to do, although it might. Dr. Judy, a triple board certified forensic and neuropsychologist, has really hammered this concept through MedCircle workshops and educational series, and that is leading with our values. So if we can get clear with what our values are, and we can find spaces in our work to exhibit those values and engage with those values, that helps. Now, that doesn't mean everything is all rosy and great and perfect all the time, but it certainly gives you some purpose and it gives you a nice intention to go into the workday. So if your value is human connection, then let's work on that during the workday, however you can. The second thing that Dr. Romney mentioned that a great workplace would be for individuals to keep them from getting burned out is that the workplace allows you to feel in control, like you have some sort of agency, that you aren't just a robot doing exactly what you're supposed to be doing. You are an individual who has agency and a mind of their own and have control. And so that type of control, or that feeling of control, really bodes well, apparently, for people. And the third one, that you feel supported. I have worked, as I'm sure you have worked, at places where you look around and go, do they even care that I'm here? I mean, like, I know I'm getting paid for this, but where is the support? Where is the pat on the back? Where are the resources? There, I mean, I understand that if your workplace is not giving you the actual support, goodness gracious, that is tough. So it's that you like your work, you feel in control, and you feel supported. And of course, at the top of that is that we lead with our values. MedCircle has a fabulous resource page that's free all the time, medcircle.com/resources. And there you can access Dr. Judy's value card sort to help determine what your values are. And even if you're sitting here going, well, I already know my values, it's honesty and whatever. Okay, that's great. But you might have other ones, and our values change. So I think Dr. Judy has recommended doing it 2 to 4 times a year, either twice a year or quarterly, to really nail down what your values are. Because it is surprising when you go through the exercise, you go, wow, that value's popping up left and right. Maybe I should make sure I'm getting that into my day-to-day life. One other interesting thing that Dr. Ramani said during this workshop, and you can watch the entire 90-minute workshop for free, use the links in the bio or in the description of this video, is that typically, or I don't even know if she said typically, I think she meant, across the board, burnout occurs over a period of time. And the longer the period building up to the burnout, the longer it will take to recover from the burnout. And that is a very important note, because many of us, including myself, of course, have stressful moments or periods in the workplace, in our jobs. Perhaps there is a big campaign or a big initiative that you're trying to do, or maybe it's a busy time of year. Well, that necessarily itself wouldn't cause a burnout, especially if you like what you're doing, you feel supported, and you feel like you're in control. We're very busy at MedCircle all the time, but when we have our mental health months, like in May and October, we all are working more. But it does not mean that, oh, because we're working so hard right now and we're all stressed because we're trying to get this done, that itself would be a cause of burnout. Rather, the cumulative stress over time is causing the burnout. Dr. Ramani also made it very clear that it is better to prevent burnout than treat burnout, because the treatment can be difficult and the treatment can be lengthy. And most of us do not have the ability to just take 3 months off to recover from our burnout. Instead, we have bills to pay. Yuck, unfortunately. So if we have these bills to pay, it's hard to take 3 months off. That's why prevention is so key here. And so if you are watching this and go, I'm a little stressed at work, but I don't think I'm close to burnout. Well, good. Let's keep it that way and learn these tools and strategies and signs and get this education to prevent burnout. You'll be happy that you spent 90 minutes in a workshop that could have the power to prevent a burnout and a 2-3 month recovery period. I want to go to a clip here, though, because when we talk about burnout, I bring up parents. I mean, when I think of people who are burnt out, I think parents. But there's an important differentiator here, especially for those seeking treatment on burnout, that you need to know, and Dr. Ramani has this for us. Let's take a look. Dive in deeper to this definition. It's for the workplace, but I see a lot of parents who I would consider, I'm not a clinician, burnt out. Could they get that definition of suffering from burnout, even though it's not technically the workplace?
They wouldn't get the official definition, right? So this official definitions open up lots of things. They open up insurance payments and workers' comp and all those things. Like, there are legal reasons and then sort of regulatory reasons that definitions like this can come in. So if a person said, hey, I am running around after 3 kids and I don't have enough support and I don't have money and I'm burned out, I would say that the phenomena, the energy depletion, the exhaustion, the mental distance from parenting, having negative feelings or cynicism about parenting, and reduced parenting efficacy. If you put parenting in there, the definition would sort of line up. I don't know. I actually don't know why those kinds of those sorts of things aren't brought in. Maybe because they're viewed under a different, rubric, in the sense that these parenting issues are sort of viewed as the stuff of And but I don't think that needs to be the case. I just don't think we support parents enough, quite frankly.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think the world has changed in terms of how we parent children. But in theory, a person who is saying, I'm burning out on parenting would not qualify for this diagnosis. It's a tricky one, though. You know, I mean, I would make the argument if you are sort of, for example, not in a paid employment, but not parenting, and what you do around the clock is parenting, to me that qualifies as work. But I don't think that makes the definition of what would fall under this ICD-11 definition.
Very interesting there. I am very happy to report, I'm surprised this number is actually so high. 365 people so far have signed up to get this burnout workshop. That's very quick. We've only been streaming for about 10 minutes. So thank you for all. And I'm sure some of you must have shared this because we don't even have that many people watching right now. So thank you for sharing this and signing up for that workshop. That's awesome. And I can't wait to hear how you like it. If you haven't signed up yet, you can, of course, using the links below. Now, one thing that we've really driven home here at MedCircle, I think, is that we believe that there's really no such thing as a work-life balance. It's just all life, and it's our job to navigate that best we can. And so I understand that the ICD 11, 12, 57, whatever, doesn't have burnout or has burnout for the workplace specifically. But let's be clear. If you are burned out at work, that impacts all areas of your life and can be incredibly hard. Dr. Romney really drove this point home, that burnout is not, I'm stressed at work, I have anxiety about going into work, I'd rather stay home today, or my job's so annoying. Although those could be included, that alone is not enough for burnout. Burnout is a very depleted state. Dr. Romney continued by saying, you know, people really look drained, as if everything has gone gray, and that just getting through the day is a momentous task. And for those of us living with depression, myself included, you might have heard all those things I just said and go, well, yeah, that sounds like depression. Well, a lot of those may overlap. And those of us living with depression could be more prone to burnout, especially if we don't have a job that we like, we don't feel supported, and we don't feel in control, and we're not living with our values. That would almost be the perfect cocktail, so to speak, for burnout. It is incredibly stressful and not something that we should disregard. I think it's easy to hear that because how many of us have heard, and maybe we've said it ourselves, I had a crazy week at work, I'm so burnt out. Well, maybe you're ready for the weekend, but if after seeing your friends on Saturday and watching a movie on Sunday, you're ready to go back to work on Monday, well, that wasn't burnout. That was just a big week at work. And I'm not a doctor, so I'm not making any diagnosis or anything. I'm just sharing my thoughts on the matter. I appreciate all the comments here. It's very nice of you. Johnny says, I've been super busy with work for the last 3 years, and right now I'm slow, but weirdly, I feel sad because I kind of feel like a loser. I'm sorry, Johnny. I hope the workshop can help you identify some of those feelings a little closely and help you with your next steps. Exhaustion is absolutely, I'm reading some of these other comments, a primary theme within burnout. And all of this comes back to, well, how do we stay productive? How do we keep striving for more, doing more, and reach our goals, but not get burnt out? Especially if our goals are lofty and we believe that it requires us to work 14-hour days, 7 days a week, and not see our friends and family, and not take the time off and deliver all of our energy and our intent to this project. Well, I still want to achieve my goals. I still want to be productive, but I don't want to be burned out. Dr. Romney, can you help us? Let's go to a clip and see what Dr. Romney had to say. Another member question, please. Is it possible to become 100% productive again, like before, after suffering from burnout? I suffered from it at a very young age, and I fear that I'll experience it again if I push myself too hard. I get this one.
Yeah. I think that it's, what are you calling 100% productive like before? Because the kind of productivity you might have had from before might have been very oppressive and problematic, right? So maybe you don't ever want that kind of productivity again. Ask
Really
yourself,
good point.
what does productivity really look like? Because it's not just giving deliverables at the end of the day, but it's also a feeling of pride and satisfaction in how you spent that time. So number one is change that definition of productivity. Number two is, I would say, do something we call successive approximations, right? You're not going to go from 0 to 60. A person who's experienced full on burnout, taken off maybe a couple of months or gone out on leave or something like that, you're not going to go back full time 100%. You want to do it gradually. It might be you go back on a shorter schedule, part-time schedule, truncated schedule, whatever, and then you start adding to it, or you might add responsibilities to it. So you keep adding things to it. You want to make sure you don't put so much weight on it, basically, that the sort of the table starts to bow. Keep adding things and sort of keep checking in. One thing to remember about burnout is that it reflects something, a big mistake everybody is making, which we're not being self-reflective enough. We don't stop and ask us, am I enjoying this day? Am I enjoying this activity? We don't.
You're saying that is a symptom of burnout, or that is one of the causes of burnout?
Causes. Because at no point are we asking, like, what is happening here, right? We are so treadmill. We are so go, 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 that we don't say, like, well, I am not enjoying this anymore. There are people out there who might say, okay, I have to stay in this job for a few more years. I don't know, to get a pension or some, I don't know, stock, something or other. There's a reason. They might have to stay in it 1 more year, 2 more years, 4 more years to get benefits, something. But the first time you can say, I don't like this anymore. I don't like how this is going. I don't like how this feels. This is not true to me. However, I got to stay here for 3 more years for whatever reason. It still changes the game, right? Because there's a finite end, like the day I'm out. And, and that you then say, okay, now I know that this story has an end. And that might even mobilize people to say, what can I get out of this place? Like, what am I going to focus on? What can I learn? How can I make the most of this? Are there skills here I can acquire that could actually do well by me in the future? That can also help a little bit too, because you're acknowledging, like, yeah, no, I'm not feeling this. I think a lot of people say, no, I'm going to dig deeper. I'm just going to put my head down harder and work harder, as though that's going to fix this problem. And it's not. But I think that the adding things as you go back, slowly add a little more, a little more, a little more. And then there's going to point you're a point like, I'm not hot. Like, I feel like I'm pushing myself. Stop. Say, okay, this might be where I'm pushing out of the balance I want. I'm working late. It's cutting into some important daily practices, exercise, sleep, whatever it may be, that great example would be a person's in a job and they're enjoying the job, but all of a sudden they're going to try to put more travel on the job. The person's like, this is exactly what led to burnout before. And then might say, I may not accept that part of the job, and it might mean that I don't get promoted the same way. We do have to understand there are costs and benefits here, that sometimes it may mean we may not grow in that organization in the same way, but it doesn't mean that we can potentially take our skills to another organization. So pay attention to how you feel. How does this feel today? What is leading it to feel this way? Is this a pattern? And then if you feel as though this is something that's becoming a pattern, that's a sign to pull back and say, this may not be working as well.
Thank you, Dr. Ramani, for that. Really an incredible point that she's making. And it reminded me of a time where I was burned out, and it was a very physical experience for me, meaning the symptoms I was experiencing were physical. Although, yeah, I was run down and tired and, feeling depressed, I had aches and pains. My back hurt tremendously. And it was so bad that I went to a chiropractor and massage therapist over and over and over again, and to get relief. And when I left my job, this was obviously not MedCircle, but when I left my job, I would say in 2 or 3 weeks, less than that, 10 days probably, all of my physical symptoms went away. I had no more pain in my body after I stopped working. So these symptoms of burnout certainly can be mental and emotional, but let's not forget the physical parts of that. And when we talk about mental health, we are just talking about our health altogether. So I want to make that reminder. I also want to say thank you to all of you watching this live and sharing this. We have 245 people watching live at this time, and you guys are supporting each other in the comments so lovingly, so graciously. It is so beautiful to see, especially on the internet. Because let's be clear, you know, the YouTube comment section is not always the nicest, safest place on the internet. And I think that the MedCircle viewers give a beautiful beacon and light of hope on the YouTube internet or the YouTube comment section because of how gracious and loving you are to each other. That's what I like. I know you guys love the doctors. Okay, I get it. I love the doctors too. But you guys are so nice to each other. And that means something. It really, really does. You never know when you make somebody's day. Go watch this workshop. Do yourself a favor. Do a coworker a favor. Do a friend a favor by watching this workshop on burnout. And if burnout isn't the topic you like, we have one on healing your inner child. We have one on sleep and anxiety. Of course, we have the one on burnout. And we have another one that I'm drawing a blank on, but let me grab it for you because it's that important to find. All right, I actually won't be able to grab it in time, but we have a fourth one too, and they're all displayed at medcircle.com right now between now and October 31st, and you can use the description or the links in the description of this video. Thank you guys for watching. Thanks, Dr. Romani, for such a wonderful workshop. I can't wait for you to see it. You're going to like it. I'm Kyle Kittleson. Remember, whatever you're going through, you got this. Hi, MedCircle members. It's Kyle here. Welcome to today's MedCircle Live. It's May 3rd, the start of Mental Health Month. I hope that this month, like all months, but especially this month, you're having particular notice to mental health, psychology, your mental wellness, and the mental wellness around you. MedCircle has a lot of awesome stuff lined up this month for Mental Health Month, both for members and for the public. But for you members right now, we have the incredible Dr. Romani here to talk to us about a topic that we can all relate to some degree. It's the topic of burnout. I first heard of this term burnout maybe, 5 or 6 years ago. And honestly, when I heard about it, I thought, oh, well, that's just for people who don't have resilience. Well, I was sadly mistaken. Dr. Romani, can we put you on screen and get into this fascinating topic?
So yeah, thank you, Kyle. It's always good to see you and talk with you. You know, burnout is actually it's classified in the International Classification of Diseases. It was in version 10. It's in version 11. That sort of list of all illnesses that are cataloged by the World Health Organization, and it has a specific definition. I'll read it off to you from the World Health Organization. Burnout is a syndrome conceptualized as resulting from chronic workplace stress that has not been successfully managed. It is characterized by 3 dimensions. The first is feelings of energy depletion or exhaustion. The second is increased mental distance from one's job or feelings of negativism or cynicism related to one's job. And third, reduced professional efficacy. Burnout refers specifically to phenomena in the occupational context and should not be applied to describe experiences in other areas of life. That's the definition of burnout. And it doesn't matter how resilient you are or not, just like anyone can get the flu and all of that. Certainly people who are more run down might get the flu, and certainly people in certain kinds of jobs will be more likely to experience burnout. But the idea is that a person can't buck up, which is what people often long believed about burnout, really miss something that has actually become an incredibly important thing for us to understand in both mental and physical health.